Tonight on Podcast Them Down, we are continuing our Judas Priest discography review with the 1979 live album, Unleashed in the East.
Podcast Them Down!
Konnichiwa, Metal Nation. It is I, Tim. That's Matt. And that is Doug. This is Podcast Them Down. And yeah, just the intro again. We are at Unleashed in the East in our discography review, where we are going through every Judas Priest album and rating it. And we decided to include all the official live albums. I went down, as I was telling Doug earlier, I went down many rabbit holes I did not expect to go down during this. Because if you look at it on the surface, yeah, it's a live album, but there is a lot going on in and around this album. So, I know we our last, for Killing Machine, I had to remember the format from the Stay in Class episode, and now
It's strange because I think those only came out like a week apart from each other.
Right, but now it's only been like 2 weeks, and I've forgotten the format, so,
God.
You try driving sometime.
This is our retrospective series. It's not a regular review.
No, this is a regular review.
No, it's not. It's not a review the way we review CDs, albums.
Oh, well,
Because we come up with one number at the end, not...
Our collectivistic format, yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, thanks for saying that. I had to bring up the final spreadsheet. Unleashed in the East. All right. So, Unleashed in the East was the first live album by Judas Priest. It came out in September 1979 on Columbia Records. So, if you rely on Wikipedia, you're going to have a bad time. Because it says it was recorded live over 2 nights in Tokyo during their Hellbent for Leather tour in February 1979. Yes, that's true, but it was actually 3 shows. There was 2 shows on February 10th and 1 show on February 15th. And they were at different venues. So,
what?
Yeah. So the 2 shows on February 10th, there was an afternoon show and a 7 p.m. show at Kosei Nenkin Kaikan in Tokyo. So I looked up the venue. It closed 15 years ago, but they had John Coltrane's Quintet played there in 1966. The Journey played there in 81. Shockingly, no mention of it being one of the venues for Unleashed in the East.
Oh, that's bullshit.
And then, yeah, Bob Marley and the Wailers played there the same year that Judas Priest did. So it's a relatively famous venue. Okay, so then the 15th, the venue on the 15th was Nakano Sun Plaza, and this had bigger shows.
Okay.
So Iron Maiden performed there a bunch of times, U2, Todd Rundgren, but Nirvana's final Japanese concert was there. But Dream Theater's Images and Words Live in Tokyo video was filmed at the same place. So I thought that was
the
cool.
first metal band you mentioned.
Yeah. Yep. All right. So those are the venues. So they have assembled this album. So it's not a concert. It's pieces of 3 concerts that they stitched together.
But I mean, like do they like merge songs? Because that would be amazing.
So Blind Guardian did this. So if you get Live, which is a 2-disc set, if you listen, Hansi likes to do the stage banter in the local language. So he's like, Bueno Sierra Milano at one point. And then like at some point they're in South America and it just, everything changes, but it plays like one concert. So, it's, Judas Priest tried to present this as a concert, whereas Blind Guardian constructed a concert that never happened across the entire planet. So this is pretty neat.
Well, yeah, I was thinking about it. There's probably I mean, there are differing philosophies to what a live album is, and I don't know how that's changed over time.
We are going to come back to that. So,
All right. Yes.
That's actually a great question.
I would say these days it's probably more literally trying to capture a particular show, or in the Blind Guardian case, the experience of seeing Blind Guardian live. But I don't know that that's always been, the case. I look forward to hearing Tim's thoughts on this, but I almost argue this is like the songs performed live and not really a show.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So when it was released, it became Judas Priest's best-selling album at that point. It was on the US Top 100, the UK Top 10, and was one of the 5 Priest albums to go platinum. It was also the first one to be produced by Tom Allom. Maybe that's Tom Hell. Did he change his...
Oh, yeah, no, the contractor, he really fucked up. Yeah.
So he produced the band for the next decade, so into the 90s. And this was the last release to feature Les Binks, who passed away very recently, like yesterday, as of recording of this episode. So,
Do you think he was waiting for us to get to this album, and that was his last earthly mission?
somehow I doubt it.
Oh, okay.
So this came out September 21st, 1979. So what, 7 months after the performance? The running length of the LP is 44:35. Oh yeah. And again, this is one of my others I have on vinyl, and I paid a whopping $4 for it.
Whoa.
The sleeve's not in the best condition. See, it keeps phasing in and out of reality, but there was tape on it or something that the previous owner.
It's the original pressing. I think there's a 2017 reissue.
Yeah, this is the original pressing. And it's got a photo of the band live, right? Only Les Binks is completely obscured. Why don't I just move out of the way? Because it's my background. Les Binks is completely obscured by Rob Halford, who was completely obscured by me. And then you got Ian Hill and Glenn Tipton and KK. I like how KK is using one of those old-timey phone guitar cables. You know, it's like coiled. Seems easy to trip on. Rob Halford unfortunately forgot to wear his shirt under his leather jacket, so he's either too hot or too cold. It's unclear, but he's got leather pants on and studs and handcuffs and aviators and a leather hat, and he's holding his microphone straight up, and it's got all those par can lights that are hot as fuck. But this concert was in February, so I'm sure they appreciated the warmth.
I mean, and so few of them are wearing proper shirts, so I'm sure there's some breeze.
Right. And then
That's a pretty effective compositing for all analog, or however you would do this back in the day. There's no way this is actual photo. They wouldn't have been able to cover Les Binks that precisely.
well, I'm trying to look at the fog, see if they used any tricks there for the composite. The photography was done by Finn Costello, engineered by Neil Kernan, recorded by Yoshihiro Suzuki, and produced by Tom Allom and Judas Priest. All right, track list. Opens with Exciter, and then Running Wild from, so that's from Stained Class, the first song. Running Wild was from Killing Machine, then Sinner from Sin After Sin, Ripper from Sad Wings of Destiny. Now, isn't the song called The Ripper? And I'm pretty sure on the back it says Ripper. So I hope someone at Columbia got fired over that blunder.
Oh, they corrected it on the remaster.
Yep.
Oh, well, I'm glad. Yeah, see, because they gave the old guy the heave-ho. Then they do that Fleetwood Mac song we discussed last time, the Green Man Alishi with the two-pronged crown, which this incorrectly credits to Killing Machine, but that was a reissue of Killing Machine. Anyway, so that's side one. of the LP. Side 2 opens with Diamonds and Rust, the Joan Baez cover. Then Victim of Changes. It's weird. This whole the whole backside of this is from Sad Wings, because then Genocide, then Tyrant. Mm-hmm. That's it. Now there was an EP with bonus tracks, and it's odd because they were on the Killing Machine tour, but there's only 2 songs from Killing Machine on here, and neither of them were the single. So it was Green Man Alishi, which they then released as the single, I believe. No, I'm sorry. The Diamonds and Rust came out as the single from Unleashed in the East. And then the other song was Running Wild. So they put out, so in America at least, there were 2 1979 records. And, the live album only had 2 songs from the first one, from Hellbent for Leather, aka Killing Machine. So the 7-inch EP for Japan had 4 more songs, 3 of which were from Killing Machine: Rock Forever, Delivering the Goods, Hellbent for Leather, and Starbreaker. So there's like another half concert there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
which has been merged
surprised
into the album on every other release.
Yeah, because when I clicked on Apple Music, I was surprised at how long this album was compared to the other 70s records we've been listening to. I was like, how'd they get 100 minutes of music on here? Or 68 minutes of music? No, it was a trick. It was all a damn trick.
Well, what order? Are they just tacked on the end? Like, what order do they have it on? Okay.
Exactly as you read it. Yeah.
They appear to follow the Japanese 7-inch EP track listing.
Interesting. Because here is the actual order of the songs they performed.
What?
Yeah. And hey, guess what? There's even more.
No.
So we'll come back to that too. All right. They did open with Exciter. Then they did Running Wild. Okay. Then The Ripper, Diamonds and Rust, Rock Forever, Beyond the Realms of Death, Green Man Alishi, Delivering the Goods, White Heat, Red Hot, Sinner, Evil Fantasies, Victim of Changes, Genocide, Starbreaker, Hellbent for Leather, Take on the World.
Take on the World.
And then they closed with Tyrant. So that was the actual performance. So White Heat, Red Hot was not recorded, allegedly, and neither was Take on the World.
That's because Beyond the Realms of Death looks like it appears on the English EP, like the UK release.
Yeah, so they had all these extra songs, 2 of which didn't get recorded. So there were 15 songs recorded for this. 8 of them, 8 or 9 made it onto the LP. Then 4 more bonus tracks, then 2 lost to time. Or were they? Someone at the afternoon show on February 10, 1979, bootlegged it, and you can hear the performances. Okay? So I'll send you the link, and I will put it in the description. Someone has put together the entire show, including stage banter. So they took their bootleg from this one show, stuck in all the LP versions as well as the EP bonus tracks and that. And then there's 2 audience recordings in there of Take on the World and White Heat, Red Hot. So if you thought it was long before. Now they've expanded it even more.
Wow.
How does the audience react? Is it the same as we would expect from a 70s audience in Long Beach or whatever?
It sounds like the Beatles audiences, because I don't know if they just didn't mic them well, but it's all like, ah! But yeah, there's lots more cheering on the bootleg.
But this already begins with some weird, crazy, kind of weird sounds to begin with.
Yeah, I think that's the extremely quiet intro to side 2 on Hellbent for Leather.
Oh.
But it's like cranked way up. Okay, so I mentioned the crowd being kind of quiet. Mm-hmm. Well, This is a quote from Wikipedia. To what extent the album was really live remains a matter of contention, with the album sometimes being called Unleashed in the Studio. Years later, after he had left Priest, Rob Halford noted in various interviews that the music was indeed live, but that his vocals had been ruined in the original recording and were later dubbed in a concert-like studio setting.
And I thought he had a cold or something, and that was the excuse.
Well, that's what I got. So, like I said, I listened to the bootlegs, so you can hear him when all of his stage banter is kind of rough. You know, it sounds like he's been screaming a lot. You know, he's like, "Thank you. This next song is from Sin After Sin." You know, like that. And he's still going for everything, but he's having like a hard time holding high notes and hitting everything cleanly. So yeah, I totally buy that all the vocals were redone in studio. Is that a problem? I don't think so. I don't think it's fair that an off night gets immortalized.
Yeah. I mean, you're already compositing several shows, so it's not like the one night only live in Berlin album.
And they're not presenting this in any way as the documentary truth, as they've reordered it, omitted most of it. Hold on, I have to get something. I'll be right back.
Makes me wonder where he's going.
I don't know. Maybe to another part of our cavernous conference room.
Well, yeah, so most of these extra songs, like if you need to have physical versions of them, and ended up on various like B-sides of stuff.
So, Tim, just to clarify something, though, this would be an unofficial bootleg.
Yes.
Correct?
No,
okay.
No, an unofficial bootleg would be what that guy put on YouTube.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. The YouTube thing is an unofficial bootleg. And this is
So what would make
a
this?
live album. Well, this is just a proper live album.
Right. Not to be confused with an official bootleg.
Official bootleg, which is a fictitious thing. But
Unless a Dream Theater or Burning Shadows.
yeah, really just Dream Theater. What do you get?
Oh, that's a 98 Live Meltdown? Is that what you got? I can't hear you. No
Can't
one
hear
can
him, but I guess it's too metal for. Oh, fuck.
My microphone melted down from.
Well, the liveness.
All right, so in this, it's so metal to attack yourself to get at somebody else, but from recollection, they do that here. So this is the first live album with Ripper Owens, and it's got a message. All tracks from Meltdown were recorded on the 98 Jugulator World Tour. These particular versions were selected as much for the audience participation as for the band's performance. The only edits, we have blended the different audiences together between songs in order to recreate the atmosphere of a nonstop Priest concert, rather than subject everyone to continual fade in and fade outs from different shows. Be there with us, enjoy. Oh, I thought it was more passive aggressive, but
I don't know. It's still
Pretty aggressive.
still kind of a glancing blow.
Oh, I won't read all this. Let me see. There's a whole, they sure write a lot of words that say nothing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Keep going.
Okay, so so I got the set list. Okay, so they were obviously touring Japan. Here's what's wild. Here's the sequence of dates. So January 25th, 79, they performed Take on the World at Top of the Pops.
Oh, okay, the British TV show.
Yep. And then in London, yeah. And then they did a show February 9th at the same venue the same first venue that they recorded the live show. Okay. So then they did 2 shows the next day. So that's 3 shows in 2 days at this venue. And then they did 2 shows in Osaka. And then they came back to Tokyo and did another show. So they did what? 4 shows in Tokyo. 2 shows in Osaka.
2 in Osaka.
And then started their US tour.
Wow.
Their US tour started. You're going from Tokyo, one of the awe-inspiring cities of the world, where do you think they started their tour?
Well, it must have been on the West Coast, I would think. So
You would think, wouldn't you?
Tucson?
They went to Allentown, Pennsylvania.
Oh.
That's a little bit of a step down.
They probably played that stadium where I saw Tool.
The Ag Hall is what it's called. And then the tour.
Agriculture.
Yeah.
That's pretty metal.
The
Actually,
tour.
the Aggression Hall.
The tour went on the U.S. tour. I know this is outside the scope of Unleashed in the East because it was just because this is the follow-on tour, but you know they're touring for Hellbent for Leather because it's the U.S. tour. But they played Bailey's Crossroads, Virginia.
What? Nice.
And then they went to Wheeling, then Salem, Fayetteville, Charlotte, and then they finally played Maryland at the Weinberg Center for the Arts in Frederick.
Wow.
Ooh.
Which back then in the 70s was out in the boonies. You know, it's like, why would you go all the way to Frederick?
The Ag Hall appears to be in the Allentown Fairgrounds.
Oh no. Oh no. It's like, it probably smelled like cattle at the time too. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, let's talk about the tracks because we've been doing that. I have to figure it. So it opens with Exciter, just like the real show. I think that's a good way to open the CD because it has the, you know, that it hits even the face. Listening to Exciter and Running Wild, they come off better on Unleashed in the East than they do on the studio. There's something missing in the studio that they could only capture live.
Well, let me make a bold assertion. With unless you dislike the extra wankiness they add in Genocide, I would argue every one of these versions is better than the studio cut.
I'm not sure I disagree.
I actually had the exact same thought. I feel like I've heard all these songs before, but I feel like these are somehow the canonical versions of these songs.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Because they're a little faster mostly, which I actually disapprove of one song I'll get to at least on 98 Live Meltdown in a short amount of time. We're going to breeze through the 80s stuff to get to the exciting Ripper stuff. But I think in this case, it's United. I hate how they play United now. But all of these songs, to the extent they increase the tempo a bit, it all works. With a Wes Binks double kick and some of the stuff that didn't have it originally.
Yeah, I noticed tapping in one of the older songs, which was invented by Eddie Van Halen the previous year. So, you know, they're adding tapping to their solos. Yeah, the solos are better. The drumming's more energetic. There's a couple studio effects that it's interesting how they pull off live. So I think one is in Sinner where he says "God of the Devils." So it's like delay or loop or something on the album, but in this he goes "God of the Devils, God of the Devils, God of the." So like he says it all. In some of the stuff that didn't make it onto the onto the actual album, I think Starbreaker, he harmonizes with himself using a delay. So that's neat. And should I talk about Take on the World now or later?
Do it now.
Okay, Take on the World does not work live. Yes, it's true that all of this is good, but the reason they omitted it from all the bootlegs and maybe didn't even record it at all is it just sucks live. That's the one exception to the everything comes out better live for this, because like, you know, it's supposed to be a big group of
Williams
people
style.
singing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if Halford backed off too much, but like it just sounds like Texas us in our hands and blah, blah. Like it's too much backing vocals. Halford stepped off, and it's just like it sounds empty, and it doesn't have the power that any of the other songs did. So that's probably why they stopped playing it, disappeared off set lists. You never heard a good live version except for maybe Top of the Pops.
Is that a canonical reason or a Tim-spiracy?
Oh, that's a Tim-spiracy.
Okay.
100%.
Just want to make that clear.
Well, they probably. I'm sure they only played that song on the one tour, right?
Yeah.
And the Top of the Pops thing is fake.
I'm sure they mimed it.
Yeah, they had to.
Yeah, so
worked.
I also think it's interesting they didn't release any of the singles from Killing Machine. None of them are on here.
Yeah, they sure mistreat Killing Machine for what is actually. I mean, it's not. It is what it is, but it. You'd think it would warrant like playing on the tour for it a bit.
Yeah. All right. So then the Ripper, Green Man Alicia with the 2-prong crown. So good live on this. Diamonds and Rust, obviously, so good it became the single off of this. Victim of Changes. So when they get to this is one place I noticed the crowd disappears. Because remember, it gets real quiet in the middle. Changes. You know that part. You think there'd be
the crowd, yeah.
Yeah, there should be din or something. There's just nothing.
Well, but where I was going with my questions earlier is the particularities of the Japanese audience and whether they're just not boorish and loud and the way like a Long Beach or a Baltimore crowd would be.
That's a good point.
Because I think a Japanese audience would be the most audience for the genre. Like I think whatever the demonstrated popular conventions of an audience for genre X, a Japanese audience would astutely perform.
Even in 79.
Even in 79. Like maybe not in 59 or 49, but I think by 79, if you're a Japanese Judas Priest fan, you know how to act at a concert.
All right. Patreon bonus episode. We're going to have to put this to the test. Review some archival footage.
1959 rock and roll concerts, Tokyo.
All right, so then they move on to Genocide. I think they put these songs
The song.
Well, something. Never mind. I was gonna make a joke that I just have to edit out, so I'm just not even gonna make it. Make up your own punchline and setup. In fact, do the whole joke yourself, and I'm going to bed. Anyway, I think Genocide and Victim of Changes are right where they need to be on this. You know, they're on the back half of the record. Then they close the official record with Tyrant, which is how they ended the real concert. And then you got the 4 bonus tracks. Is it Starbreaker that has the drum solo? Did they keep that? Yeah, they did. All right.
Yeah.
So if you listen to Starbreaker, they added a Les Binks drum solo into the middle of it, which originally fell right before the encore. So that's why they put it.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's why they put it last as the last bonus track, because it's supposed to precede the silence. So I thought that was cool.
Okay, that makes sense.
Well, what I like about almost every version of these songs is they either have to do live or they take out all the stupid 70s studio effects.
Yep. So Starbreaker doesn't have the clapping.
Yeah, and Tyrant doesn't have the weird the weird way that chorus. Yeah.
We should get that isolated so I can hit it. Tyrant. Yeah, maybe that's why this is so good, because the producer wasn't there to ruin it.
Hey,
Boys, what do I really think you need?
Cool way you can run the tape deck or these reel-to-reels, but yeah.
Yeah, so I recommend listening to the reconstructed concert. You can hear Halford struggling and how rough his voice was. If you want, maybe not. If you want justification for them to retrack all the vocals, like it might be good to understand what you would have had if they didn't. In White Heat, Red Hot, for example, he goes like, instead of holding all those notes in White Heat, Red Hot, he just goes, White Heat, Red Hot. So, yeah, I think they made the right decision.
I agree.
Yeah, and there's nothing left to do but throw a rating on here.
Oh, wait, there's one other thing that I want to bring us back to the presentation, because there's one thing that your brief flash of the record has obscured, and we would be remiss, if we didn't mention the horrible Senjutsu-esque Live in Japan font,
which is like also 90 degrees from the rest of the album.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, and there's more. It's on the back. It's hard to see, but side 1 and side 2 is in the same font.
No. Okay. All right.
But the rest is in just Helvetica.
Well, I'm not sure how I like the Unleashed in the East following the angle of the logo. I mean, at least they had to do that.
That is a good point.
Cut and paste.
Yeah. I couldn't find anywhere like who did the layout. I didn't look very hard, but I couldn't find it either.
Credited to L Space Design and the remaster, but that has got to be the new firm who added these metal boxes. That seems to be the main thing they did.
Oh yeah, well, I'm looking forward to it. I shouldn't tell you this because this will just raise the price, but I'm trying to get all those remasters so I can spell out Judas Priest with the CD spines. I have more than half of them, but I don't have all of them. So.
It's like the cassette tapes of the Star Trek motion picture series, where if you had them all together, they would make the Enterprise A, I believe.
Yes, same idea.
So,
1 second. All right, sorry. I was just trying to find the Frederick, Maryland set. So by the time they got to America, here's how their set differed. They opened with Hellbent for Leather, rightly. Then Delivering the Goods, Running Wild Beyond the Realms of Death, Rock Forever, Green Man Alishi with the two-pronged crown, Evil Fantasies, Starbreaker, and Tyrant. Oh yeah, Evil Fantasies. I meant to talk about that. So that's one of the left off the even bonus tracks. He doesn't do the Ethel Merman thing. He's just like Evil Fantasies. It's not Evil Fantasies. He doesn't do that.
Maybe he did Frederick, Maryland, but
Yeah,
Maybe he could have. I wasn't there. Apparently, one Setlist FM user was there. We can try to set up an interview with Color Magic. He only attended 9 concerts.
Wow.
All right, so here's a cross section of someone who would have seen Priest in the late 70s from Maryland. Saw Ozzy twice, Black Sabbath twice, Rob Zombie once, Guns N' Roses once, The Who once, UFO once, and Judas Priest. I think that sounds about right.
yeah, right on.
And 3 of those shows were at the Capitol Center in Landover, hon.
I mean, that sounds amazing.
Oh, 2 of the shows were at this place. Oh, UFO was also at. Oh, UFO must have opened. That's what's going on. Yeah. Wait, I got it.
Belongs to fucking Mars, man.
Sit back, run back my card.
Wait, wrong one.
After this ocean, we are headed to Ocean
Hey, man.
We do need to do a tangent where we.
Party with Brett Kavanaugh.
God.
I like drinking beers, Senator.
I enjoy beer.
What's your name? Graham, man, like Grandma Dad.
Here it is.
Heavy metal rules. All that punk shit sucks. It doesn't belong in this world. It belongs on fucking Mars, man.
Fucking
what
Mars,
the hell is
man.
punk shit?
Yeah, so
You cut out the circle, whatever, the circle of dicks, whatever he says.
I jump his bones.
well, I think we should do a tangent when we get to that.
Yeah, when we get to that, yeah. Because I have a lot to say about the girl from Reston who says, Dawkin.
Dawkin.
Now, even incredibly drunk, they can't hide that they're like a class above the
Yeah.
Prince George's kids. Yeah.
They called Reston Mayberry, USA. Oh, we're
Save
from
it.
Reston.
Save it. We'll get there. It's not too far away. It's only like 5 albums away, I think.
Yeah, can't wait.
All right, so we need a unified rating for Unleashed in the East.
Okay, I'm gonna go out on a limb. I think this is a 9.
I think it's the best of all the 70s stuff because it's the 70s stuff as it was meant to be.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed all the other records we listened to getting up to this point, but I can't say I would listen to any of them as much as I would listen to this.
So, I'd probably give 8.5. I'd go with 8.5, but I'm trying to decide if that is the original track list or the full track list with the bonus tracks. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that extra EP, at least Hellbent for Weather and Starbreaker and Rock the World, yeah, they're all actually okay. But it's at least a 9 from me.
All right, well, let's meet in the middle and say 9. So if it's at least a 9 for you and a 9 for him and an 8.5 for me, the 9's in the middle. So there you go. It is a 9. Best, that wins for the 70s albums.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because
it's basically just the best parts of the 70s albums performed a little harder.
Yeah. So that means the next album.
Quality and fidelity you get recording in the studio.
Mm-hmm. With a live energy, Doug.
So hold on. Since they're trying to cancel it, I know Tim and I are big fans of another live in the studio album, The Greater of Two Evils by Anthrax.
Yeah,
the definitive versions of the 80s songs performed by the greatest heavy metal singer to ever live.
This is a good tangent. So, should we talk about this now or in its own episode?
Yeah, let's do that in its own episode. I think it deserves it, right?
Well, let's preview it real quick. So,
well, before you do that, I would just like to explain to the podcast and downers why.
Well, before you do that,
I would like to say this would have been a 10 had they included the best Judas Priest song of all, The Last Rose of Summer.
Well, that isn't it. Is there anything on here that you would expect them to play from the first 4 albums or to like them to play that's really missing? Because to me, it all comes down to composition. And then you have the added layer of, did they ever play it live in the first place? Could they have included it? Because to me, this is close to perfect. Maybe some more stained class, but
they could have done Stained Class, the song.
Saints in Hell, but they didn't do that till 2018 for the first time.
Looking at the older albums here, I mean, Better By You, Better Than Me would have been good.
Yeah.
No, I have no notes. They left off what they should have left off.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I think they hit all the things they needed to hit. Okay, so the Anthrax thing real quick. So they had the first singer, Joey Belladonna. Then when he left, they had John Bush, who's a much better singer. And so they recorded a bunch of Belladonna era stuff with John Bush, and they called it The Greater of Two Evils.
Oh, that's awesome.
And now Belladonna came back. So now they're pretending they didn't put that out.
Boo.
Yeah, and now that they've been a covers band functionally for a decade, maybe more.
Yeah, so Greater of Two Evils is fantastic. But they just did that in the studio. And so did another band, Burning Shadows, with the Last One to Fall EP that was live in the studio as well.
That's true. Oh, yeah, that is true. There are a lot of eerie parallels between Judas Priest, Dream Theater, and Burning Shadows, I've noticed.
I was going to make another off-color joke, but I will not.
That's not cool.
No, it would have made us sad. That's why.
Oh.
Okay. So, the next Judas Priest album will be 1980s British Steel when they finally sell out, or not. Any closing things before I hit the thing?
Only look at the original British Steel cover, listeners.
Yeah. Right. If it's more than 2 colors, you fucked up.
Yeah, look away.
Mm-hmm. All right. Until next time, Metal Nation, sayonara.
Cast them down.
There's a Rob Halford's stage banter includes like as much Japanese as we had.